All right, here we go. And greetings, everyone. How are we doing today? Welcome to another Brony Debates Live. I almost forgot which week it was for a second there. But we're having fun here. We've got a pretty interesting topic tonight. So Mr. PonyCordero suggested tonight's topic, and he's joining us for it tonight. We got a pretty small panel tonight, just not a whole lot of people were available. But how are you doing tonight, Mr. Cordero?
I'm doing fantastic. We're talking about zebra magic, right? I've been looking forward to this for weeks.
Maybe on the next time. No, today you wanted to talk about, is diet culture harmful? So
Oh shit, I'm out of here.
yeah. Why are you out of here? You're the one that suggested it. That's your Discord name in the freaking thing. All right. So, yeah, this should be a pretty interesting topic. It's a little off the beaten path from what we normally do. You know, for those who are veterans of the show and like to listen in, we usually talk about, and for those who are new, we usually talk about either pony-related stuff or something in relation to like how media and storytelling works. So this is a nice change of pace. And also joining us tonight, we've got Mr. Sasha Lace. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing good. Nice to be back on again.
Yep, it's always good to have you on. How have you been lately? You been up to anything fun?
Um, it's been good. Like I just been kind of busy with work, but I've been recently working on new music, seeing
Yeah,
where that
you told
goes.
us a little bit about that last time you were on. Have you made any progress?
Yeah, I've been making progress. Nothing that I'm ready to show just yet, but
hmm But I'm gonna
it's
hold you.
getting there.
I'm gonna hold you to it, man. I'm gonna air out your dirty laundry all over this
Yeah.
stream every time you're on. Is it done yet? Is it done yet? Is it done yet?
Got two or three notes.
Yep. All right. So, before we get into the meat and potatoes of it, let me give a shout out to my generous supporters on Patreon who make my bills easier to pay and make my content easier to produce. They are, especially on the $10 and up tier, they are Princess Heather Blossom, Shady Oak Ministries, Sid McConroy, Autoknight, Emerald Spencer, Sodden Girder, Senko, Kyle Christensen, DJ Skywalker, Stephen A. Wilson, Rein-Kun, Princess Sunshine Sparkle, Bootleg Bard, our co-host PonyCordero, and Dark Malcontent, author of the Metaverse series. Please check out all their links in the description. If you want to get on the show, I'd love to have you. Let's just get you on the Patreon for $1 a month where you can suggest the topics and get on the show if you should so desire. Now then, Cordero, why did you want to talk about this tonight?
Well, well, I wanted I don't know if it had to be tonight, but I brought up this subject specifically because it's something that's always on the forefront of my mind. And we're already getting the questions like, what is diet culture? The reason I worded it as diet culture is to answer if it's harmful. It's like, well, what is diet culture? Diet culture is kind of a term that's popped up on the internet, like Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and
Yeah, I
stuff.
was going to ask
And
you to define that.
yeah, it kind of popped out of like fat acceptance and positivity, and it kind of jumped out of that side of the internet. So you can imagine where diet culture is heading.
hmm
But basically, diet culture is the concept that obsessing over what you eat and what you look like leads to depression and worsening health. That a lot of our culture is so obsessed on diet and losing weight, and models and actors and Hollywood actors that have such physiques that are so unattainable and so like low fat that it's like not even realistic for the regular person to get, and people get like ruin their lives trying to mimic these celebrities when it's near impossible. So the idea of, is diet culture harmful, is basically if you're obsessing over your diet and how much time you spend in the gym and how much body fat you have, you're basically just making your life miserable and worse. So when you ask the question, is diet culture harmful? The simple answer is yes. Yes, it is. Diet culture is a real thing, and it absolutely is harmful. Talking about it definitely should come from a real, genuine place. But I feel that a lot of the places of the internet that bring up diet culture, it's not coming from a genuine and real place. It's coming from a place of, I want to justify my lifestyle of eating what I want and being as fat as I want. And so pointing at diet culture and being like, that's bad, therefore I should weigh 700 pounds is kind of the internet culture we've created. And I wanted to bring up diet culture because it's actually more complex that on the surface it seems like, oh, diet culture, that's just you making excuses for you being fat. For many people, absolutely. But diet culture actually is a real thing that exists and is harmful, and people are going depressed worrying about their bodies. And I wanted to talk about like all of that tonight from a total health standpoint.
Alrighty then. So I've definitely got some thoughts about that. But before I do that, I want to hear from Sasha. What do you think about Cordero's definition, and I should probably even say experience with diet culture? Do you have anything you want to add or take away?
Honestly, just to add to it, like, to me, when I hear diet culture, I actually hear the word toxic culture because there's nothing actually positive or engaging about it beyond obsession and just straight up just put downs. Like, I have literally perused Facebook groups that are diet culture based. Yes, they even put that in their title. And man, some of these groups, I'm not even going to name them because I don't want them getting flamed by people, but toxic, very, very toxic, and a lot of just straight up backhanded compliments. And I've even experienced that with people before in the past. I'm not gonna say I'm in the greatest health, but I'm not so far gone that I need to join these people that go online claiming that being fat is okay. But like I've literally had people in the past, when I was struggling with, for example, just like dating, I was having struggles with it, but it wasn't really physical struggles. It was just getting my foot in the door. And I literally had somebody tell me, well, you could probably just get your foot in the door, man, if you just stopped really like trying to eat and just like literally just recommended just being an anorexic. And I'm like, is this what you do? And they're like, not really. I'm like, then why are you recommending me this? He's like, well, I mean, you could stand to lose some pounds.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly why this toxic diet culture exists. People made a safe space to get away from people talking to them like that, and then became deluded that that's okay. My stance on the whole topic really is, instead of being toxic to people that want to lose the weight, actually encourage it. You can actually have a positive culture without saying fat is okay.
Right.
But don't focus on the fact that they look, that they are obese, because that doesn't help at the moment. What you should be focusing on with people who are struggling to lose weight is getting them to a healthy place. Pointing out the fact that they don't look attractive isn't going to make them feel motivated to get across the line. You're actually just disincentivizing them from wanting to do it. This is one of those things where I'm like, delivery is key.
Yeah. Yeah, if they're not already motivated by how they look and feel in the mirror, you pointing it out really isn't going to help motivate people. And that's what a lot of the diet culture backlash refers to, and that's where the people in the fat the I almost said the fat fatness movement, the fat acceptance movement, that's where they get it from, is exactly what Sasha is talking about, is that like people take a lot of crap for being fat and they just don't want to anymore. So, and that's exactly how they formed. People found each other on the internet that were sick of taking crap for being fat, and they were like, yeah, that's not right. And you know what, not only is it not right, but we're right for being fat. In fact, it's better to be fat. You can see how it develops over time. Like you get it feels good to just talk to people who are like you, and you just sort of develop this idea that no, they're the ones that are wrong because they were rude to us at some point. And like you run into what's called body dysmorphia, and specifically the type of body dysmorphia where you look at what you have in the mirror, and for whatever reason you hate yourself, whether you're fat, skinny, short, or whatever, you hate yourself for some reason. And this is the most harmful part of diet culture, is people, even if they're in a pretty good state of body fat, they're doing pretty decent or pretty average, they might look at fat that they see on their body in the mirror, and they instantly get depressed. Like they cannot accept who they are. They can never just be happy with who they are, because it's never good enough. And that's why I brought up the celebrities and the models before, where like most of Hollywood men are on steroids in order to get that action hero body, and women are basically like anorexic or are on crazy unsustainable diets in order to get as thin as they are. And people will be like, my beach body doesn't look like that, and that's because of my own failure. And that is a huge disservice to the general public. There's a lot of people who like you look okay, so like an actor has a quote dad bod on screen, like a movie dad bod. Not an actual dad bod, but a movie dad bod. That's probably what the average person should look like. You know, you can't see
rather
see their
svelte.
holding abs. Maybe they have a little bit of definition on their upper body, especially around their biceps and their traps. You know, but they have like the mildest of gut, but mostly flat stomach. And then this guy walks on screen and is like, oh, he's got a dad bod, and it's like he looks better than most men in America. And honestly, men who look like that don't have a dad bod. That's actually a pretty good. That's probably like 18, 20% body fat. And it's like, but like movies and the perception of like models and like fame, what we think is a healthy body in our minds is actually incredibly difficult to achieve, like way above and beyond the call of I need to better myself and I need to get healthy, way above and beyond the call. And it's so difficult to achieve. And then they'll hit the gym, they'll cut their calories severely, you know, they will destroy themselves, even get injured in the gym trying to exercise, like not eat anything that they like, all of this self-denial, and they'll make a lot of progress, but then they'll stall right around dad bod or just short of what they think a dad bod is, and they will never get to that line, that metric of that Hollywood steroid actor, and then they'll be like, well, I must have screwed up somewhere, I failed. And then the body dysmorphia comes in, and then they relapse and they go back into their fat ways, and then it's like, well, it's impossible and I suck and I hate myself, so I'm not even going to bother anymore.
Right. Okay, so for the sake of memes and irony, I'm going to take the stance of, yes, there is diet culture to a degree, but I think we actually should have diet culture, and I think it can be harmful. Now, I'm not going to take away, and I'll explain all that in a minute here, but I'm certainly not going to take away what either of you have said, because I've seen that. But I think taking that mentality is a personal choice, where you have just as much opportunity to take the good out of that kind of thing. Now, it is crappy that people are trashy and they're gonna shame you for your body type, or you know, something like that. I hate that. It certainly doesn't help anybody. But where the diet culture should be, if at all, because obviously if you just have a culture surrounding dieting, then you're missing half of what it takes to become healthy. But what it should be is about nutritional education. I know darn well in the reality it's not, but I want to look towards the future here, and I want to see the potential. I want to see the diamond in the rough and take that out. Those who are in the diet culture should have it. It should be trying to steer it towards education about nutrition and vitamins and minerals and balancing for your body type and your goals, because those are also two different things. Your body type is just where you're starting from. Your goals are obviously where you want to get to. And some people are going to be shaped a little bit differently. Now, when you get into body types, there's the big three that everybody kind of recognizes, is the endomorph, the ectomorph, the mesomorph. And there are very qualified people on both sides of the argument of whether body types like that even exist or not. My theory is that those exist as kind of a starting point. Now, you can, if you want to change what your physique is, but especially if you're later in life, if you're, we'll say, past the age of 25, it's just going to get harder and harder. At that point, you'll be more likely to hurt yourself. So diet culture is probably not a good thing, in a sense of what I said earlier of your ignoring half of the problem. Now, Cordero, when you and I started working out together, one of the first things I told you is you can't just diet and you can't just exercise. You might make progress if you do just one over the other, but you'll plateau very soon. But if you put them together is when you'll start seeing the actual positive results there. So if you're just focusing on diet, then you're definitely doing your body a disservice, because what's going to happen is your body's going to try to find some kind of homeostasis, which is going to fluctuate because, okay, I'm deficient in this one nutrient, so I'm going to get all that in while still meeting my calories, but I got to count those calories. So now that I'm getting all of this now, while limiting my calories, now I'm deficient elsewhere, and then your body's going to change and try to adapt to that, and you're just going to be constantly shifting what you're doing and constantly just not feeling well. Whereas if you learn how to balance it with the exercise, that's a lot better. I think that health should be important to everybody, and wherever you get your motivation from is your business as well. So if you take me, for example, where a lot of other people got motivation to get into fitness, well, a lot of people who are into fitness, their motivation came from just wanting to look better. Mine was a lot more of a warrior mentality kind of thing. Mine was when I was a young teenager, is I want to be able to help my friends. I can't do that if I'm not strong myself. How do I get stronger? And that was what sort of set me down the path. When I teach my Harmony Through Health panels at conventions, that's one of the first things I say is I bring up the episode of I cannot believe I forgot the name of the episode, because it's coming up in my series, actually, in a Buck to the Face, where Zecora gets sick and Fluttershy tries to help her. That's exactly what it was. You can't help the people that are close to you if you're not in a position to help them. You need to be stronger yourself. And that could range in anything from, okay, I can be an example to somebody and maybe help them, inspire them to have better habits in terms of eating or in terms of exercise or just healthy life decisions in general. Or it could literally be, my mother is trapped in that burning building and I'm going to go get her. And I better make sure I can pull my weight, her weight, and have the cardiovascular strength to hold my breath, long enough to get in and out, right? Everything in between.
Ready for anything training.
Yeah, so that has got to be part of why you do things, and looking at yourself and recognizing I'm not eating right to get to this goal, to either help yourself or to help somebody else. So like I said, it doesn't matter what your goals are. That should be, that diet is part of that. And we need a culture of education and encouragement in order to get there. So my next question with that I'll have you guys answer in just a second, but my question is going to be in a minute. How do we get there? So, but before we do that, I want to hear from you guys what you think about that 10-minute rant I just went on.
Honestly, like, I wasn't going to say that there shouldn't be a diet culture. There should be, but it can't be toxic. It also can't be too lenient. I'm not saying it has to be strict, but there needs to be a balancing act of encouragement, but also reminding people, hey, you do need to try to make healthy decisions, not in a parental way, but in the, hey, you say you're serious about this, you're literally about to do the opposite of what you should be doing. And a big one, too, that I kind of have realized over the years, a lot of diets that people try to put out there constantly use buzzwords like there's no sacrifice involved. That is a bold-faced lie. There is some sacrifice that needs to be made on an individual basis, because what affects you more might not affect me more. as an example, I have abstained from alcohol, period. I don't drink anymore. I wasn't a heavy drinker to begin with, but I used to enjoy drinking with friends and having a good time. But over time, it just kind of started to wear down on me. And recently, I wanted to start working on my health and taking it serious because I'm 25. Or sorry, older than that. 27. You know, life is going to catch up if I don't take initiative to work on that. And I've also started medication that doesn't allow me to drink. I haven't drank in 30 days, actually longer now, a month and a half. And I, even after week one, I didn't really feel temptation or desire. And I've realized now that when you apply that to healthy dieting, it gets easier with time to avoid the things you probably shouldn't be eating. Like the thing I'm currently working on for me is cutting out soda too. I don't need it. You really don't
Yeah.
need to drink soda. Should you never drink a soda? No, I'm not saying that, but should you be substituting water for soda more often than not? No. I
Well,
have
our
made
our
it.
solution down here in the Central Florida Bronies is to drink seltzer water and get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I was just gonna say seltzer water if you
Yeah.
really need to have that feeling of a soda. Seltzer water with like a hint of lemonade. Sorry, lemon, like lemon juice.
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
done.
so nice. Or even better, just be proactive. I have started to make very big strides in cutting soda out. If it's offered to me,
Yeah.
I don't take it. If I literally can't have water because of where I'm at, not being necessarily clean water, I just don't bother to eat then. I can stave off eating for another couple hours. You have fun. I'll chat with you and then I'll go eat later and I'll have water. I just don't feel like I need to put myself in a situation where I just keep falling back into bad habits. That's like the
Hmm.
biggest thing I think that, I feel like we've all kind of been pushing. Don't fall into bad habits. The moment you do, it just gets annoying. It's upsetting because you don't want to do them, right? We don't necessarily want to do the thing that we want to stop doing, but we just keep putting ourselves in situations where the temptation immediately overrides your goal.
So, in summary, what are your thoughts in relation to what I had said? Can you give it to me in 2 sentences?
You gotta be consistent. You have to be dedicated.
So, does that add or take away to what I had said?
I just wanted to add on, I really don't, there's nothing I really disagree with either of you about. I
Mm.
feel like we're all roughly on the same page.
Alrighty then. So,
I felt
Cordero, what did you think about that rant I went on?
Yeah, you were well. The big thing I remember you bringing that up when we first started training together. When I remember I came to you and I'm like, I need a personal trainer, please. The
Hmm.
and yeah, like you can't do one or the other. The interesting thing about that, I guess, this is a taking away, is you actually can. I think we talked about this before too. You can do just the diet if you're trying to make your body weight and your body fat goals. You can do that with diet alone. Whether or not that's good for you in the long run, because I think evolutionarily we do need exercise. We need to elevate our heart rate on stuff. But like if your goal is specifically fat loss to reduce your risk of heart disease, um, you can basically accomplish that with just the diet. It makes it a little bit harder because the exercise makes you burn calories faster. So it makes it a little bit easier. And plus you can kind of have two things to get right or screw up instead of one. You know, like if you're struggling on your diet, well, at least I made it to the gym. You didn't make it to the gym, well, at least I ate well today. You know, you kind of pick yourself up a little more when you got both. I agree that it's better to do both. But one sticking point for me is like actually from a fat loss standpoint, you can just diet and it does work. But what worries me, even though I say that, is there's a lot of people out there that are like, yeah, I just don't exercise and it's just not important to me. And there's actually a school of thought or a group of people that think that it's fine to just live a completely exercise-free life. And you can understand where it comes from because you don't need exercise to function anymore. Nobody needs to go to the gym in order to do your job. Most jobs are done sitting down, and even if they're done standing up, you really don't need a lot of conditioning and training or muscle strength to work and live and function in the modern world. So it's easy to see how people could be like, yeah, like exercise just is not important. It's just not a part of my life and doesn't need to be. But I really think we're losing something evolutionarily and probably health in the long run. I think it's going to affect our not just our quality of life, but our longevity in the long run. I don't know how much science there is on this, but I think people who eat healthy diets and don't exercise probably don't live as long as people who eat healthy diets but also work out, just because the cardiovascular benefits of that elevated heart rate. But I mean, we can go in circles on that all day.
Yeah, and you and I definitely disagree there. I have yet to meet the person who does one or the other and is
just diet. You can't out-train a bad diet. It's impossible. If you eat terribly and you train every day, you're going to remain fat, and there's going to be muscles under your fat. But you can just diet alone and reach your weight loss goals, and that does happen. And I actually know people who have done that. Like they either only take walks or they just don't work out at all, and they're just like, oh, I'm just going to focus on this diet. And think most of them are middle-aged women, but it is a school of thought.
I mean, I know where you're coming from, Brony, but like I can actually give the example of my own parents. So my mom is disabled, so for her, traditional exercising is not something that's safe for her, but she still works on the cardiovascular part of it, which is still important. My own father is mainly a dieting guy, but again, he supplements it with a routine. He walks up to 5 times a day, like goes on walks. The minimum amount that he will do is still 2 every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he's maintained great health. But the thing is, to do a diet only, routine requires a lot more will than to do both, in my honest opinion. Because it's easier to get into a routine of working out because your brain looks at it as, well, oh, it's about that time of day. You just make a pattern of going to the gym, but you don't make a pattern of eating the right diet. You constantly make that conscious choice. And then it does become a habitual thing to some degree, right? But there's always temptation when you don't, we're tempted. We're human. We're literally designed to make mistakes no matter how hard we try not to make them.
Let me stop you there for a little bit, because when I have students and when I have clients, I usually try to introduce them to a Japanese concept called Kaizen, which is basically, to break it down into its raw, almost insultingly basic form, is do just bare minimum, and then from eventually the bare minimum it feels like nothing, but it becomes easy, and then the next step, right, like bare minimum effort. And I'm talking like in terms of exercise, like literally put on your sneakers and stand on the treadmill kind of thing. Stand on that treadmill for 5 minutes, and eventually I bet you can't stand on that treadmill without turning it on. And then eventually it's like, okay, walking 2 miles an hour is boring. I'm going to kick this up to 4, which is a little bit of a jog. And then that's going to get boring, so you're going to kick it up again, right? So it's just the way your brain works. And when I do my health panel at conventions, what I tell people is that it's a lot easier to make the choice if you don't dive headfirst into it, because most people, and there's a few out there, and I have a great deal of respect for those people. They're just built differently, but for the most part, people can't go cold turkey on things, especially if they enjoy, and especially if they have some sort of chemical addiction to it, like most sugar is going to do to you. So, but if you understand what you're doing to yourself in the short and the long term, you're going to be a lot more likely to be like, I don't want to do that to myself. And maybe you start by not eating a whole box of Swiss rolls in a day. Maybe you just eat half the box, and then you feel a little. You notice you feel a little bit better, and you go, oh, so cutting back on the Swiss rolls helped me feel a little bit better. What happens if I just eat a quarter of the box today, and so on and so forth. So with that, my question becomes, how much of the perception of diet culture, so you take all this verbal abuse online, but and you get discouraged by it, how much of that is your choice? Because like when I was, and maybe I'm built differently, right? But I've been the subject of just straight up abuse when I was growing up. But my mentality that I always chose to have was, okay, this guy's telling me that I'm a piece of trash. Why is he telling me I'm a piece of trash? Well, there might actually be some merit to that. Maybe I can take it and improve on it. And that's the mentality that I chose to have. So, how much should that apply to, let's say, literally everybody else in the world? Cordero, what do you think?
Sorry, I was typing something in the chat. They were going over that. Yeah. Give me a one sentence bullet point question.
Okay, so how much of the way you perceive diet culture and its toxicity is personal choice?
Oh, yeah.
And how much do you let that affect you is your personal choice?
Oh, yeah, all of it, 100%. Like, what you choose to put in your body.
Well, thanks for coming out to the debate, everyone. Well, have a wonderful weekend.
Yeah, I know, right? This is like the fourth debate in the road where there's no debate, where we're all like, I think this, me too, and this, yep. What about this? Yep. This has been our debate.
That's just a theory.
Well, we were disagreeing on some. We were disagreeing on some points until you just handed the debate to me right there. But
what was it? Yeah, it's 100%. Like, what? When have I ever disagreed on that? Like, it's 100% your choice. What makes diet culture harmful is the psychological damage, is the body dysmorphia and the depression. Like that can happen regardless of your personal choices, or even because of your personal choices. There are a lot of people who are gym rats who obsessively count their calories, that are absolutely miserable because it's never enough. It's never good enough. And that's what I would caution people with, is there's an extreme in every direction. And in this case, in one extreme, you have people that are so fat and bloated that they could go on My 700-Pound Life, and they think that they're not only healthy, but they're morally better than you for being that fat somehow. That's one extreme. The other extreme is you're so obsessed with how you look and how much body fat you had, what you see in the mirror, and what you're eating. You're so obsessed with that you're depressed every day because it's never good enough. Which that's the core of diet culture. But what you just asked me is, do you think people are responsible for what they do with their bodies, what they put in their mouth? Yes. Are people responsible for the psychological impact of their actions? Not necessarily. That's where the human condition comes into play. Is a lot of people, they'll make a series of good decisions, like, I'm fat, I need to be better. They start dieting really well, they start exercising really well, and they get so devoted and so into it, but then they run into plateaus. And they think that those plateaus are their own failings and not just part of the fitness journey. And then the depression shows up. And part of what I'm blaming, a huge part of what I'm blaming this depression and this dysmorphia on is the culture of Hollywood and models and Instagram models and fake natties. Yeah, but you knew fake natties were going to come up. Fake natties who pretend that they got their giant bulky bodies by just showing up to the gym and working out. Do you know how many men go into the gym 5 days a week, lift weights until their arms collapse and their tendons are about to tear, go home, cram themselves full of protein, but only so much protein because they've done the math on how many calories that they need, cram their bodies full of protein, go to bed, get all the rest they need, get up, go back to the gym, do it all over again, do that 5-6 days a week, do it for months, and then look into the mirror and they still see a dad bod and they go, that's my fault. No, it's fucking not. You've made a great journey. You've done an amazing transformation with your body, but because you don't look like Vin Diesel, you think you failed. And that is a failing of culture, is we need to set realistic expectations and realistic metrics of what of what reaching fitness goals should be. There are so many people out there that are slaving in the gym, and because they don't look a certain way, they think that they're failing. That's why a lot of people are giving up, and why a lot of people are turning to not body positivity, but fat acceptance, and going, fat acceptance must be right because this is bullshit. And I've wasted 6 months of my life. I haven't had cake. I haven't had anything that I really love eating in 6 months. And what was it for? I'm miserable and I still don't have the body I want. That is the dangerous downside of diet culture. And that I mostly blame on the upper echelon of Hollywood and Instagram and people who will not admit that they have help getting those bodies. Okay. Just admit that you have that Grecian Adonis god body, that you had help getting that, so that regular people can stop beating themselves up for not having it.
Right. So a couple of things here. That just plays more into what I was saying earlier of why we need the diet culture, but we need the diet culture to change, to be about the education, and just know exactly how much Photoshop goes into Hollywood, right? Because there's a ton of Photoshop in Hollywood.
Good lighting.
For the filthy casuals out in the audience that don't know what a fake natty is, natty basically means natural. It means like imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
And they're on steroids. All of Hollywood, 10 out of 10 Hollywood male actors that look buff on screen on steroids.
That's what I'm saying. But they'll tell you that they got that with this routine that they're going to sell you for $150 a month. And but really, yes, they are on some kind of steroids or some kind of anabolic suppressor.
And if they're not on any of that, it's still not something you're going to achieve because they have access to things you don't.
Every time a celebrity gets a picture taken of them or they appear on camera, they've known about it for at least 3 to 6 months ahead of time for that specific date, and they've been training to look that way. Condition. It's the same way that fighters in combat sports of almost any kind that require weight division, so wrestlers, boxers, kickboxers,
weight cutting,
mixed martial artists, anything that involves a weight class, it's what they do. They know what's coming up. They prepare for it. Hugh Jackman would talk about in some, filming some scenes for whenever he was Wolverine, and he would have to go like a day at least, it might have even been 2, I don't remember, but he would talk about going days without drinking because a lot of what makes you look fat for some reason, I don't know why the body works this way, but water. Yeah, so you got to dehydrate in order for your skin to contract and show the muscles that are under the skin, because otherwise you're going to look fat, but it's literally skin. But that's why what I'm saying is that's why we need the diet culture, is we need to get into it to shift it from the grassroots and try to make it more about education and helping people understand exactly what the celebrity body is.
Absolutely.
So, Sasha, I haven't heard from you yet. How much of this is the personal responsibility? Like you get on a diet culture Facebook group and they tell you you're a fat piece of crap. And you respond to that by crying and eating a gallon of ice cream. How much of that is your responsibility?
It really depends. I do think that there is some responsibility that we, as an individual, hold. But sometimes not everyone avoids these circles because they're hopeless. They need that cure, that fix. So people go to these groups, which are very well disguised. Like I've said in my own research, some of these groups are bold and just put it in their name, and others, they weave it so gentle. It's like a PR speech. They soften you up, they get you in. At first, everything's fine. And then they probably
had, like, the people that started that group, I would bet, when it looks like it's a PR skit, like you were saying, I would bet that those groups got started with pure intentions, and then the people that came into them with their superiority complexes ruined it from there on out. That's what I would guess. Of course,
a lot of it is just people ruining these groups, but to talk about like the other half of the coin too, society holds blame too. And I don't mean society as in the human race, but the things that people keep pushing onto other people. Like, for those of you who may not know, I am an artist. I produce music for Brony, but I also do photo. I do video. That Photoshop comment, I can't tell you how many times I've had people literally pay me and then be surprised when I won't do it to make them look thinner, to make them look more muscular. Look at movies. I love superhero movies, but I've started to low-key resent them because they don't represent you, a real person. I mean, like, literally, many times you watch, like, for example, the new Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland. He's an excellent actor, really has a lot of resources to get fit. They still make him fitter after the fact with a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Games do this too.
Now,
Games will literally manipulate the experience visually. And this is a thing that people have to start becoming more aware to, because otherwise you're always gonna, this cycle of hurt that people are experiencing is because nobody wants to talk about the fact that media isn't held to a standard. It's not. What standard? Just don't break the FCC rules, to me, is not enough.
yeah, and that's when I was taking media literacy in college, that was something that my my teacher harped on a lot, is that like out in Europe, especially like France and Germany, they hold the media to that standard where if you're targeting this kind of message at people who are susceptible, you could get in trouble for it. The problem with that in America is that we value free speech over everything else, and so this is the bad part of free speech. And where do you hold media accountable without it turning into censorship?
Well,
Yeah.
easy. Just stop allowing people to bullshit you. Like, the truth really is, freedom of speech in this country, people don't like it when you add the second half to that phrase. Freedom of speech does not give you freedom of consequence. And the problem is there's no consequence when the media does it. Like, the Emoji Movie, by the way, is literally a 1.5 hour commercial. But because a film is a film, they don't legally have to tell you that they've advertised to you the entire time.
Yeah. I think we should move away from.
Okay, so let's get back to.
I think we should move away from freedom of speech, because I actually fundamentally disagree. Freedom of speech, on its face, does actually mean freedom of from consequences, but that's literally a different debate. I do think that you are supposed to be protected from consequences in most cases, but that's literally going to hijack the entire debate.
And just 10 seconds here, that plays into what Cordero is saying, plays into what I'm saying about personal responsibility. But let me ask the question that I asked earlier in the stream, and we got distracted from it, is how do we infiltrate the diet culture movement to turn it into something more positive? Sasha, what do you think? Sasha, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking about it. Can you repeat that one more time? Sorry.
Yeah. So how do we change diet culture into what it should be rather than what it is? Let me give you a chance to think about that. Cordero was going to say something.
Yeah, you can go first, Cordero.
Yeah, we need more, because we were talking about fitness education. I think more good, popular, entertaining channels that are giving good information. You just need to beat the bad information with good information. Rather than making laws or punishing people for giving bad information, there just needs to be more people that are getting the correct stuff out there. There needs to be more channels like the Buff Dudes, the Bioneer, Shredded Sports Science, Athlete X. There's so many, Jax Blade, a Brony creator. There are so many good fitness channels out there giving incredibly good information, and information that's realistic. A lot of people get into on YouTube, get into the natty or not stuff, and people misreading representing themselves as natural when they're actually on steroids. It is a problem. I brought it up myself as a problem tonight. But I think people on YouTube tend to over focus on who's really natural or not, and it really more needs to be about transparency. Than rather people are like. One thing that might help is stop crucifying people who aren't natural. If somebody is out there, be like, "Hey, here's my I am steroid assisted. Just I'm on the juice, just to be straightforward. But here's my workout routine. Here's what I do." And it's like, "Oh, great, we can take your advice and what you do for what it is, and you look the way you do because you're assisted, and that's fine." If like part of what we do is even the supposed good YouTube side, and none of the channels I talked about do this. But a lot of those, quote, good YouTube or the people that are trying to be part of the solution and get the good information out there, they kind of go on anti-fake natty crusades where they just try to find every single person who just looks slightly muscular and say, you're on steroids. Everything always goes too far, right? Isn't that just how it goes? Everything always goes too far. Like, people go on natty witch hunts to get people. It's like, it's not about who's on steroids, and stop demonizing people who make the personal choice to use steroids. I'm not. I would never suggest anyone does. No doctor would ever tell you that you should. But stop crucifying people who make that choice for themselves and just make it be okay. Hey, as long as you're open about your steroid use, not a problem. And then, yeah, just keep working to get good information out there so that people understand, hey, if you want a Hollywood body, you're probably going to have to go on steroids, or you're going to have so much money that fitness is your job. That's the other side of it. Even if you don't have access to steroids, if you want to look like these Hollywood actors do in movies, you basically have to turn fitness into your job, which means every single thing that enters your body has to be calculated. Every single minute of your day has to be dedicated to maximizing your fitness, your muscle gains, and your nutrient timing and your supplementation. It literally has to become your job, as if you're a professional actor or as if you're a pro fighter or something like that. But most people don't get paid to work out. The people are doing this because it's their own personal job and responsibility to want to be fit and want to look better. And they have to do their regular job and attend to their families and have their own lives on the side and still fit in all of their training and all of their nutrition into that. And if you're just a normal person trying to live your life and be healthy, there's probably a hard cap on how buff you're going to look and how, and it's just a fact of life. If you want that Hollywood body, yes, you can achieve it without steroids, but you basically probably don't have the money and the time commitment to do that.
All right,
just based on the modern lifestyle. It's almost impossible under the modern lifestyle.
So let me cut you off there and go and see if Sasha has anything to say about the question.
Yeah.
Oh man. Can I get it one more time just to make sure I'm not about to?
How do we improve diet culture?
I think the first place to start is just by turning it into an open dialogue. Nobody likes to talk about it because it's an uncomfortable topic, but it doesn't have to be one.
Interesting. I think we need to meet toxicity with toxicity until toxicity gives up and makes way for wholesomeness. That's what I think. So if you see somebody bullying somebody, frickin' call them out on it.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Don't let people get away with bad behavior. If you don't call, and this is in general, not even related to what we're talking, call it out, people. If you see it, don't let someone get away with being mean. There's no need to be mean. If there's anything I have literally learned, it takes more effort to be mean than to just simply be nice. You have to be calculated about it, and that's how the people who fall down this hole and just become miserable about dieting and working out get to be so toxic. Like, I've literally seen this kind of toxicity in the gym. When I was going, before COVID happened, I was at the gym one time and this guy was giving his friend like a lot of flack. I mean, like, I was working out nearby them and some of the stuff he was insulting him with, I don't even want to say it because it was so personal. It was like a personal ad hominem attack. And I could tell the guy was getting more and more flustered. So I stopped working out and went up to his friend. I can't even believe he calls him a friend. But I went up to the guy. I'm like, hey, are you like actually trying to help him lose weight, or are you trying to give him a mental illness? And he looked at me and told me to mind my business, you stupid fat fuck. And at that point, I just verbally unleashed on him and called him everything that people like him don't want to hear,
And the
including...
4 you didn't get
Yeah.
kicked out of the gym, holy frick.
No, because I didn't like yell at him. I said it calmly to him and then walked away, and he proceeded to have a whole meltdown.
All right.
And then got himself removed because he claimed that I talked to him, and I turned around and said, nope, no idea. And he just kept getting angrier. But, like, the thing is, I'm just not willing to see people pick on someone. Again, the proof is when it comes to a diet culture, it needs to come from a place about concern and not just straight up, you're a failure. Congrats. Thank you for pointing out the obvious. Would you like some fries with that?
Yeah. Now, let me add on to that with a little story of my own. There is, let me just preface this with I have a great deal of respect for my uncle, and my eldest uncle, I should say, because I got a lot of uncles. But you know, and I've described him to some of my friends as the most talented fighter to ever live, right? And there's unrelated stories for the reasons why I would say that. But he lived a very unhealthy lifestyle and had a really bad stroke. And as a result of that unhealthy lifestyle, and was, you know, I'm, you know, just going to be brutal about it, a rotting vegetable for 15 years after that. So a lot of people think, you know, that uncle is famous in my family for saying the words, you know, when my father told him to quit smoking, he goes, you guys are going to feel real stupid one day laying in a hospital bed dying of nothing. And it's like, no. As I got older and I watched him deteriorate after that stroke, I learned that no, you don't just live an unhealthy lifestyle and then just up and die early, right? Like some people get that lucky, but most people, especially with the way that medical advances have come across in the last 20, 30 years, you become a cyborg. You're just hooked up to machines and you have all these deteriorating health problems. It gets worse and worse and worse and more expensive, and then your family's got to take care of you. And it did a lot of damage to my family. Keeping him like that for 15 years because he just chose at a certain point in his life to not help himself anymore. And that's what it's like. It's when you're not healthy, you're not just dragging yourself down and you're not gonna just not wake up one morning. It's gonna take 15, 20 years for you to die, and it's gonna suck the whole time, and you're gonna drag down everybody close to you in the meantime. So that said, sometimes when I look at people that are like all about the fat acceptance movement and try to take that moral high ground over you, it's like, not only are you wrong, but you're a detriment to society. And I just kind of think about all the hardships that my family went through because of my uncle. And I don't know, makes me really mad. It probably more mad than it should. I'll confess, but it makes me mad. I don't know.
I mean, Brony, for the love of all the things that are holy, your uncle literally chose to die a slow death and made it everyone's burden. I'm sure by the end he probably wished he had just got hit by a car and be done with it. And you know, not to be so morbid, but yeah, I think that there comes that thing that people need to think about, you know? Like, I'm 27. I want to be able to be active and have fun and do great things at 40 and at 60. I don't want to reach 50, 60 years old and be falling apart at the seams. Yeah. You know, to me, that's kind of become the biggest, like, motivator, not from like a fear factor, but I'm thinking to myself, my future, I want to have a family. I want to have kids. How am I going to be an actively involved parent if I can't actively, physically be involved?
So let's go to the other side of the coin here. and talk about the fat acceptance folks and the people that go around using the word fat phobia on Twitter and Tumblr, because that's all I ever see it on. It quite frankly, is Twitter and Tumblr. I've never seen it outside of that. What do we say to those people without becoming what it is they're talking about? What do we say to them to try to show them the light?
Probably nothing. People who are going out of their way to preach about fat phobia and fat acceptance and healthy at any size, I'm actually kind of not interested in debating with them or interested in reaching a dialogue to convince them otherwise. I mean, if they figure out that they're wrong, that's great. What the people I want to reach is people who are vulnerable to that message, people who might hear that and be like, man, I've been called fat my whole life, and everybody tells me I'm risk of heart disease and all this stuff. All this is bad. But you know what? These people say it's wrong. That it's fine to be fat, and that means I can eat whatever I want and not feel bad about myself. And I get to convince myself that it actually is healthy. They're like, oh, doctors are lying. That's part of the rhetoric too, is that doctors are literally lying to you about health. Like, if I'm not healthy and I can eat whatever I want and not have to feel bad about it, that's the easiest path at all. I'll do that. I want to reach people. I want to reach the people who that message is meant for. The people who are preaching the message, fall off a cliff while riding your rascal and die. That's to the people passing that message on. To the people who might hear that message and think about it, those are the people who I want to show compassion to and be like, actually, here's the truth, and here's how you can be happy and way happier than you ever would have been fat if you just make fitness and nutrition part of your life. Because it actually makes you a happy. Like when I was 320 pounds, I was not as happy and well off as I am at 200 pounds. And I probably should be like 185 or something when I finally get all the way down. But it's like the people expressing the message literally die. I don't care about you. Fuck off.
Okay.
I want to reach the people who it's not too late to reach. The people that they're trying to get in their ranks. The people that they're trying to convince. The common regular people who may be overweight, which is a lot of people are overweight. It's most people. They're trying to convince them that no, you can be 200, 400, 500 pounds, and they're literally, this movement could single-handedly cut the life expectancy of humanity in half. Like that's how dangerous this is. So I don't lightly say drive your rascal off a cliff and die. I really think that if you've gotten to the point where you're calling people who lose weight fat phobic, or calling like personal trainers and people that are trying to express healthy lifestyles, you're trying to act like they're evil people. It's like, you know what? I don't even care that you're that far gone. Go ahead and finish. Go ahead and finish your heart attack if you're halfway there. But before you get regular people to join you, that we got to get in there and show them that they're just telling you what they want to hear.
All right.
Not to like be mean, Cordero, but that whole thing about being a rascal and going off a cliff, they would have to
drive your rascal. Those stupid little rechargeable motorcycles you see at Walmart.
Yes, but I was gonna make the joke. They'd have to be able to walk to get on it to begin with.
Oh damn! They can't get from their car to. They need a rascal. They need a car rascal to get to the Walmart rascal.
Yeah. So look, but getting, I guess, more into what we should be talking about. I do think there is a fat phobia, but not in the way that the people that keep preaching it are talking about. Because is there a difference in how people are treated? You bet. There have been so many videos people have made over the years that, unfortunately, people who are deeply lost in that rabbit hole are using as ammunition without understanding that it's not ammunition for them. Like, I have literally seen videos of people, having someone fat walk up to a door. Nobody holds it for them. Like, repeatedly at different areas. Just to see if this is a common... Yeah. But when they would have the actor take off the fat suit and the makeup and whatnot, their normal self, doors are being held, smiles are being given, politeness is abound. There is a real thing that people seem to treat fat people as though they're like beneath society. Fucking stop doing that. That's literally just directly sending people to the other side. Just stop being toxic about it. It's such a weird thing. But I thought that was a joke, but sure enough. I mean, I literally see this behavior at my own job. For reference, I work at Lowe's. We're a home improvement store. But I have literally seen customers, step aside for a heavier set person and then immediately start talking bad about them as they're walking by. They don't even wait for them to be, and this isn't something I've only seen about a hand. It's all the time. All the time I see that behavior, and it's not just talking, it's pointing, it's laughing. It's like, I didn't know that it's funny to watch another human being literally killing themselves. I didn't know suicide became funny.
I didn't know people got treated that way outside of high school on like a large scale, or if they do. Like maybe I was just never fat enough, but I never, once I got out of high school, I never really received a lot of fat hate. I spent most of my life being over 300 pounds. Like how big was the fat suit that these people were wearing? And maybe was it selective footage? It could have been selective footage for that they.
I don't know if it was selective, but I mean, how many clips would you be willing to take to make a 10-minute video of just someone being repeatedly treated rude? Yeah, that's a lot of footage to selectively pick. I don't think it was cherry picked. I really don't. They were simulating the look of someone between 350 to 450 pounds.
Okay, that's a little bigger than I was.
So they were aiming for what the average person perceives as, you are a beast, you are a whale. Yeah. And rolled with it. And sure enough, they even another video they made a while after that, they instead had a woman pretend to be fat. And it was actually even worse than the man.
Yeah.
Downright worse. I mean, like, people were actually still trying to sexually harass her because of her weight. It's the most disgusting display of human behavior.
That's pretty shitty.
But this is where, this is where the other half of the coin, media, consistently being the problem. Because I remember growing up and watching so many kids shows where they would blatantly make fun of the fat character, or they would have the fat character do something that you and I as the viewer knew they could not physically do. But the story calls for them to be a laughingstock, so sure enough, they do it. They get laughed at. We, the viewer, are laughing as a child, not realizing we're just laughing at someone getting made fun of because they're fat. That's not actually funny. That's actually straight up just rude and mean.
Well,
we've all I think it's just, we need to recondition our conditioning of how we view other people. Oh. It starts with that, I think.
Yeah. I just thought of something I'd like to throw out there before we get into the audience participation segment, is that I remembered seeing an argument on Tumblr in favor of fat acceptance, and they brought out Sammo Hung and Butterbean. Now, if anybody listening doesn't already know, Butterbean is a very talented boxer. He weighed like 350 pounds, something like. He was a huge freaking.
He was huge.
Yeah, he also had the signature like American flag print shorts. But yeah, he was huge. Sometimes I'll even bring up sumo wrestlers. Now, there is a time and a place to every purpose under heaven. The existence of exceptions does not change the rule. Sammo Hung is one of the rare, Sammo Hung was a colleague of Jackie Chan. They kind of grew up together and went to school together, and he's a big guy. And he's got a big body type, and he can do the gymnastics and all the choreography on the same level as Jackie Chan, well into his old age as well. But yeah, just because that exists doesn't make fat necessarily healthy. That is 0.00001% of the population that can pull that off. And
I'll say it, but Butterbean was not at a healthy weight. He was at he was a competitive boxer and good at what he did. He was at a very, very unhealthy body weight.
Yeah, and then you take the example of sumo wrestlers. Sumo is a sport with a rule set, and the tradition is to get very, very big like that. So sumo wrestlers themselves, first of all, they put on a ton of muscle. Like, yeah, they're 500 pounds and 300 pounds of that is probably they're 500 pounds and freaking 450 pounds of that is muscle, right? And then they got the 50 pounds of fat that looks like around their belly, right? But even so, they don't live past 45 and they don't fight past 30. Right, and they make a lot of money while they're doing it out in Japan, especially if they get into the higher ranks of it. But then they're just kind of broke the rest of their lives and not healthy for the rest of their lives and have all kinds of skeletal problems. So keep that in mind. Now, with all that, we're running a little bit over time here, so I'd like to get into the audience participation segment. So have you guys seen any chat or questions that you'd want to address? And before you do, I want to read off what InvisiBrony had said. He pinged me in the Discord server saying he's got a good point because he used to be in good shape and now he's fat. And he said, we've reached a point in society where mob mentality or group acceptance has reached a point where the opinion is starting to overwhelm the fact, which is highly unfortunate. Some people do have issues, glandular or otherwise, that prevent weight loss, etc., and that's an issue. Yes, I will concede that, Invisi, with the exception that glandular problems are very, very rare on a genetic level. You're more likely to cause them with poor diet or eating early on, and poor diet and poor lifestyle choices early on in life, but they can be corrected all the same in that case. There is an acceptable weight health metric that is optimum for the human body. If you want to ignore that, that's fine, but don't go around telling people that being obese is healthy and fine in a medical sense. If you're happy that way, fine. Don't try to tell me it's healthy. And so that's what InvisiBrony said. And let me just add on to that is, there's been quite a few people out there, and we'll use the example of Chris Pratt, who, was the funny fat guy on Parks and Recreation, and now he's an Avenger with a six-pack. And he said himself he didn't even know how unhappy he was and how unhealthy he was and how much better he could have felt when he was out of shape on Parks and Recreation, and then got in shape for Avengers and Jurassic Park, and he just, like, his life's a million times better. So that's what InvisiBrony had to say, and that's all I really saw in terms of questions in chat. Did you guys find anything that we want to address?
I saw a lot of fun discussion, but I didn't see like big questions being.
Give me a highlight of something you saw. Did you do you remember where it was or what they said or who participated?
Callback was talking about boot camp or banana brigade. He brought up that there's a banana brigade that gets you ready for boot camp when you're too fat or you're not fit enough for boot camp. Mm-hmm. So that'd be an interesting thing I'd like to know more about, because I remember there was a time where I was looking to join the military. This is the first time in my life I lost 100 pounds, and I was down to between around 220-ish in college. And I remember talking to them, and I remember they measured my BMI, and it was like, yeah, if you join the military, your BMI is a little bit too high. You would need to go do an arms test to prove that you're fit enough. And they described the arms test to me, and I'm like, I would eat that for lunch. I could do 10 of those in a row and barely be out of breath. And they're like, well, yeah, it sounds like you'll nail it. But that was interesting. Nobody told me anything about a banana brigade or like a military fat camp to get you ready for boot camp. I probably would have joined the military if I had known that existed, because I was like a breath away from signing the papers. I'm actually glad I didn't, but
yeah. Well, from what I understand, the military cares a little bit more about whether or not you can meet the physical requirements. So, I've had a lot of military friends say that, yeah, there's fat Marines, and because I said that they were, because people ask me all the time if I was in the Army or something like that, or were you in the Marines? Nope, just trained by them. But I was like, no, I couldn't be in the Marines. There's no way I could meet those physical requirements. And they're like, nah, there's some things you do. And then the other day, one of my coworkers who used to be a Marine was telling me about the requirements to get in and the types of things that they would do every day. And I was like, oh shoot, well that was the warm up, and that was what you needed to do to pass the test. That was the warm up in when I was into combat sports. Like that was people who watch A Buck to the Face, you might remember the character West Tower, based on a real person. And he was a Marine drill instructor, and a big role model for me. So who knows in terms of the military? I wish Calbeck was in the call because he could give us some valuable insight, because he was in the military a long time ago.
Oh, apparently the Banana Brigade was back in like 1988. He's saying in chat, so it might be different. I remember that was back in like 2011 for me, when I was in college and thinking about joining the military. I think I ultimately did it because they found out about my medical history. I was like, oh yeah, I've had cancer. And the recruiter's like, oh crap, that's a whole like approval process. And I needed to get like my doctor to say, yeah, it's fine, his cancer is gone and all of that. And that was like a giant pain in the ass. And in the process of going through that pain in the ass, I just sort of thought twice and like, I'm just going to finish college. I'm not going to join the military. So that's how that ended. But that would have been, which I'm glad I didn't, because I was basically joining the military to break through my next fitness plateau. So that was a very, very bad reason to join the military.
All right. Zeus Assassin says Sasha is on fire tonight with the points. Sasha, have you seen any chat or questions that you want to address?
Let's see here. Feel like, are there any other questions that weren't addressed? I also don't see the part about me being on fire, but I appreciate the compliment.
I read that. Yeah. Well, listen, does the Weird Al song "Fat" count as fat acceptance? I would say that is definitely fat shaming.
Yeah.
Oh no, actually, fat is fat acceptance. I'm thinking of Grapefruit Diet. He has a couple songs about being fat.
I think it's really more in jest than anything.
Well,
it's Weird Al. I mean,
the question itself is tongue in cheek.
To say, is Weird Al being offensive? I mean, if you think he's being offensive, you don't know who Weird Al actually is.
Anybody who thinks any song Weird Al's ever made is offensive, it like needs to lighten the fuck up.
And Vizzy Brony says apparently that I suck and I need to address that point. I can address that simply with, these hands are rated E for everyone if you want to settle it.
Address which point?
Apparently that I suck. That's it.
Clearly, it's an important one.
Yeah, that was apparently his only statement for me to address. And
all right, so there's only one way to settle this. You and Paladin Pony T are gonna do a 5K race.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was hoping for a boxing match.
I was hoping, can we do the boxing match before the 5K
race?
race?
No, you will do. I will give you the boxing match. You will do it after the 5K race.
Oh, you know what? I'm down for that. It's like the 5th round in an MMA fight when nobody can even stand up.
Oh God, MMA fights don't even go that long. I think Cordero and I have a relatively average 5K time. He does about 30 minutes on a good day, and I do like 36 minutes on a good day. So most MMA fights don't go that long. Some boxing fights go that long. So, especially if they go the whole, their championship bouts are scheduled for 12 to 15 rounds of 3 minutes. So that ends up being like a half hour.
Yeah, with like a minute or two breaks in between.
So Paladin asked Brony, actually, do any of us know a show that try to talk about the topic we're talking about? No. I've never heard really any show try to go this far with the topic.
That's funny. Picademos, better challenge, 5 hours of burpees. Picademos, you do 5 hours of burpees and tell me how that goes.
You do 50 seconds of burpees and tell me how it goes.
No, don't tell them. It's totally doable. Start right now. 5 hours of burpees and tell me how you liked it.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
All right. Okay, Google, set a reminder for Pika Demos doing burpees.
There are some fitness channels on YouTube that will kind of spotlight people into fat acceptance movements and sort of shame them and break down their arguments as to why they're wrong.
Alan Roberts.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got a cough. I've got a cough tonight.
Who's
If you're
Alan
at all
Roberts?
interested in some fitness YouTubers, we could certainly make some suggestions. There's bioengineering, like we said earlier. There's
Pioneer.
yeah, Bioneer. Thank you. There's
Probably my
there's Jeff Cavalier of Atlian X. There's who's the Shredded Sports Science, the comedian of the group.
Yeah.
Who else do we have? Because I know there's more.
There's so many good ones. The buff dudes. The buff dudes are great from the weightlifting side,
Mm-hmm.
the training side.
And
Because those are two guys that look like a bunch of weightlifting meatheads, but they're actually incredibly enlightened, and they actually, despite them being bodybuilders for weightlifting and doing competitions, they actually emphasize cross training and covering your weaknesses, even though it looks like they're totally gym bros who were like, weightlifting is everything.
Also, that was it wasn't Pika Demos that told you to address the point. It was Invisibrony, which so congratulations, congratulations. We just killed an innocent man.
So are you saying that these science bros that are gym rats, or you compare them to like Hulk in Endgame? Just
The buff dude.
Yeah, Professor
super
Hulk.
buff guys dressed up all to the nines, going, well, yes. If you look
I
at
think
the
we
board
can
here,
agree that Bruce Banner is definitely not natty.
not natty.
That dude
Definitely
took
not.
steroids and roid rage to a whole new level.
That is the least natty you can be. Hey, listen, if Captain America is not natty, stop judging people for their personal choices.
Look, Hulk, he's just built different.
Alrighty
Why do you
then.
want me to run against Book? Why do you want me to run against PonyCordero? What did you tell Paladin to do?
No, we told Paladin and Pika Demos to run against Sasha.
Yeah, so then
Oh.
apparently we're gonna duke it out in a three-way fight in the ring after.
And I got winner.
We'll do a triathlon. Whoever finishes the triathlon first or at all is the champion.
Well, you win, Mister. I've been training for a triathlon. So
Not even yet. I'm still recovering from surgery. I can work out like once every 3 days
all right.
before I have to rest up again. By the way, surgery sucks. If you like working out, it really sucks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we do that triathlon, I'm sorry, but Cordero has to wear a 75-pound weighted vest.
Challenge accepted, and I'm still the fastest swimmer.
We're
Of
also
all of
going to
you.
do this on the hottest day of the year, though.
Yeah, y'all can.
Okay.
If we get to the swimming portion,
I got sunscreen.
y'all can catch me at the bottom of the pool with how that's gonna go.
Swimming is first in a triathlon. That's leg
someone's
one.
gonna have to literally fish me out because I just sink.
Oh, you can swim 800 meters. Come on.
All right, well, we'll see.
We'll find a lake. We'll find
yeah.
an 800-meter lake.
God,
From the
there's
English
a
Channel.
scene from an anime called Golden Boy where he tries to do swimming even though he can't swim because he's trying to impress a girl or something like that. And he just he jumps into the water and he flails the whole freaking time and looks like he's gonna die. And then he gets to the very end and he just totally solid face, 100% confident. So, how do you like my swimming? like he's the best swimmer on the planet after just dying in front of everybody. I'll show you guys that clip later if you haven't seen it. So yeah, and also let me just throw this out there as a shameless plug. If you want to get into fitness or you want to get healthier and you're of the mindset or you're worried it's too expensive, it's too complicated, you don't know where to go, you don't know what to do, as of this moment, I am your resource. Come find me. I'm very easy to find. BronyDebates@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Tumblr. You know where to find me. Come and find me. I will point you in the right direction. If you want me to be your trainer, unfortunately, I have a tier for that. But even so, that's still.
You mean fortunately?
Yeah,
That's where you transition into this episode is sponsored you by Brony's Patreon tier of him being your personal trainer.
yeah, that's the $25 tier. Which, to be fair, and as part of my
That's
shameless.
a great price for personal training.
Yeah, $25 a month is nothing. It's nothing. To give you some perspective, when I worked for the YMCA, they charged $50 per 1 hour session.
Yeah.
So
Sheesh.
yeah, there's
And by the way, meeting with your trainer 1 hour a month or even a week is not enough. So if you have a personal trainer, you need to meet. So yeah, for most personal trainers, you're going to need $50 to $90 an hour, and you're probably going to meet with your trainer 4 to 5 hours a week. So multiply 50 or 90 by 4 or 5, and that's how much that most people would spend on a personal trainer.
also
So $25 Patreon tier is a steal.
Also, we got Invisibrony calling me out. So, Golden Boy is apparently an ecchi anime, which I didn't know. I just saw this clip frickin' somewhere, and I saw that and I saw the name of the show that it was from. If it's porn, I didn't know.
Oh my god.
Oh, that sucks. Got caught lacking in 4K on the stream live, no less. But anyway, so that's.
I have your external hard drive, and I'm going to release it.
Alrighty then.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Brony. You should have seen that coming because here's the cover for the manga. I'm not posting it in the. I'm gonna post it in the Brony debate so people can't see it, but that is literally the cover for Golden Boy. Like that should have been your first hit.
Shoot, that's bog first of all, I didn't know. Secondly, that's bog standard for most Shonen Jump anime covers. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Wow, listen to that. What a cutie. Oh, that's his standard.
Okay, sure.
Excuse me, princess.
Well, excuse me, Japan is backwards.
Golden Boy likes watching. Okay, I'm not repeating that.
We're getting way the heck off topic here. Let's wrap it up. So, if you want to be on this show, I'd love to have you. If you want me to be your personal trainer, I'd love to have you. I need to take on more students here. And I like big groups. And my two guys that are on my personal training tier now, they need some company in their misery while I beat the crap out of them on over video call once a week. So yeah, come and sign up for $25 a month, or sign up for $1 a month. Get in the server, hang out with me, get on the show, make your suggestions primary. Sasha, one thing you learned tonight. Go.
Fitness is on a scale. Health and fitness is a scale.
Was that intentionally a pun?
Yes.
I like
Good
it.
man.
Thank you.
Not that we haven't already been friends since 2011, but we can be friends now.
Whoa. That's
Yeah.
a promotion if I've ever heard of one.
Cordero, one thing you learned tonight.
Tonight, I learned to accept that fat gives you diabetes. Actually, what I learned, I actually learned that it's been a while since I was over 300 pounds, since I was really overweight, and I might have forgotten some of what it feels like to be mistreated for being fat.
It's been a year and a half since you've been anywhere close to that weight, and even so, you weren't.
2017-ish.
Yeah, even so, you weren't. I don't know. Let me put it this way: you wore it well.
You remember Galafour, right?
Yeah.
When I was how big I fucking was. That was pretty big.
But I don't know. Yeah, you've come a long way. And to tell you guys, like Cordero came up to me shortly after I moved back to Florida in 2017 and said, I want to get back into shape. I said, I got you. And he was around 320 back then, and he did everything I told him to do, and then did it on a to the power of 10. And as a result, just like every time him and I went to a party, holy frick, did you lose weight? And yes, he did, because every time, there'd be a few months in between these parties, and he'd drop 10 to 30 pounds between each one. So
yeah, it was a good journey.
Yeah,
and I don't want to lose it. I've been terrified that complacency post-surgery recovery was that my fear is that I'm gonna gain it all back, all 100 pounds in like 2 days.
Yeah,
obviously that's not going to happen. But
I don't think
it will either. But the second I'm too easy on myself, and hey, diet culture, depression, all of that stuff. The second I'm too easy on myself, that's when I get back to 300 pounds. So I've always just got to keep on top of it.
Yeah, so you're a walking example of some of the stuff we've been talking about tonight. Alrighty then.
You know, a lot of that body dysmorphia stuff, like if you could tell, a lot of it was pretty personal and came from a very real and personal place.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure what I learned. Maybe I give the idea of diet culture too much leniency for what it could be and don't really take it seriously enough for what it is in reality. Or at least I just, it doesn't affect me as much because I choose to have a different mentality. Maybe I just need to be more understanding of those who let it get to them.
Empathetic, maybe?
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from, Brony. In the 10 years I've known you, you're just very strong-headed. You're not going to let things get in the way, but not everybody has that strength. I've come to learn that, over the last several years, that people I thought were strong were just really good at holding a facade. It's not easy.
I will maintain that strength is a choice, but I will also say this: part of choosing to be strong and choosing to take the right steps to make progress is also knowing which steps to take. And if you start out and you're getting toxicity and all you've ever had is toxicity, then yes, I can certainly understand that mentality in that case. But if you've listened to this stream tonight and you've been in that case before, I feel sorry for you, but by the same token, here's your sign. Now you know what to look for. Go find it.
Factual.
All right.
And if you ever want to learn about food, this is not a plug for me, but I like Matt Pat. I like his channels. You should look at Food Theorist. If you want to watch some nutty science about food. It might actually motivate you to cut some stuff out that you didn't know was a little bad. Hello, Dad.
Yeah, listen to us plugging channels at
with millions of subs.
Yeah, with millions of subs. Like they don't, like all 13 people in this watching this stream don't already know who they are.
So, if somebody knows Matt Pat, can you pass this on so we can maybe do a collab? We gotta get Bryan a little bit of clout, boys.
I'd love to go sip a Diet Coke with Matt Pat.
We have to drink Diet Coke. That's obligatory, dude.
Yeah.
I want to just see you guys drinking Diet Coke and just come through the wall and leave a perfectly brawny shaped wall hole in the wall as I come in and start lecturing about how bad for you aspartame is, which may or might not even be true, but I want to do it. All right, let's wrap this up for tonight. Thanks everybody.
Aspartame is neutral for you. We'll get that out there. It's not great, but it's not awful for you.
Well, yeah, we've been recording for too long. Let's wrap it up for tonight.
Okay, the next debate.
Yeah.
Is aspartame healthy? That's the next debate.
All right. No. Yeah, I would love to see more topic suggestions that are fitness related, or it doesn't always have to be about pony and storytelling, even though those are the things I feel like I know the best. But yeah,
Zebra magic.
Yeah, we'll put that on the table for later. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Stay safe. God bless. Say goodnight, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, folks. Stay safe. Have fun. Don't do anything stupid, and if you do, send us some pics.